Thursday. As always, the DJ set was super fire. I feel really, really good. One, because of that, and two, because, man, listen, we have the prodigies in the house right now to talk about all things future, man, the things that grandmama never thought of and our mamas never saw, right? I'm so excited that these women have decided to lend their brilliance to this stage. Definitely drop your comments in the chat, drop your questions in the chat, drop your affirmations in the chat, and give these ladies love. But let's get right into it. So let's talk about Web3 and what the hell it is, okay? Because I think a whole lot of Black women have been asking that question. So I'm gonna let you all, explain why Web3 is something that you're making a bet on in your business today. Bianca, why don't we start with you?
Well, let's just break it down, because I think we had this conversation just around language, right? And so I just want people to understand that this is real simple. So why you should bet on it is the first version, or the first layer of the web, is just websites, right? Plain websites, text, things like that. Most people will say the second layer of it, or Web 2, right, will probably be like social media and things like that. So Web 3 is all this new stuff. NFTs, tokens, the more advanced uses of the metaverse. And so I would say for anyone who has a business, you need to bet on it, because we've already bet on it already for the last 20 or so years. And so don't let the language fool you. It's just the evolution of where the internet is going and how we're connecting all different types of emerging technology together. So don't be scared of it. Just jump right into it.
I say, don't be scared. Love it, Bea.
Yeah.
Monday, what about you? Why are you making a bet on Web3 today in your business?
Absolutely. Well, Web3 has been a part of my life for over a decade. I've been in this space for a very long time. And just to dovetail off of what Bianca was saying, so Web 1 was the read era, where companies were originally accessing the web and advertising and marketing their products and services on the web. So back in the day, remember, your first computer, I had a Dell computer. So I wanted something on the internet, and I would get my grandmother's credit card. Hey, Grandma Blythe, can I get, your credit card? Can I use it? And I call in, if I saw a toy that I wanted, so that was the first layer, the first step to the web. And the web actually began on August 6th, 1991. That was the first website that existed. Alta Vista was the first search engine. Google didn't even exist at the time. Web 2 is the reading and writing era. That's the social media era. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of these companies started coming up, and people were able to interact with the web. So we had companies and we had social media influencers. So, shout out to my sister, Tanika Renee. She was doing all of this like marketing and being this travel blogger even before the word social, like a social influencer came out. So people were able to monetize off of the web in the Web 2 era. Now we're entering into a space, and this space has been in existence for a while, of decentralization. So Web 3 is the read, write, and ownership era, in which now we have the ability to be self-custodial and self-governing. So you're owning your data, you're owning your shit, which is amazing. So now you have the ability to pretty much do whatever the hell you want in this space. You could build, you can thrive as a business, but also you have the ability to have ownership over your own data, which was not possible before.
I say to all of that, man. Thank you for contextualizing it. I tell people all the time, similar to everything you all have said, Web 1 was black and white TV. It had its purpose, it had its utility, right? But, it wasn't fancy, right? It was just for its utility. Web 2 was color, it felt good, watching my movies and having profiles and listening to my music in my ears, right? That's color TV. And Web 3 is 3D. It is when it feels larger than life, because it actually is, right? It's like it's right here. I can almost touch it, right? And so it's really nothing to be afraid of, like these ladies are saying. If I be real about it, if you think about the companies that existed that didn't have websites when the pandemic hit, when they weren't even in Web 2 yet, okay, listen. Like, you can't afford not to move, right? Because what happens when the world changes and you playing catch up? Ownership is key. Love it, y'all. So let's go deeper, right? Monet, I want to kick this to you, right? So in addition to Web3 floating around, there's this buzzword now called metaverse. And there are so many definitions, right? The definition even is still being fleshed out. What is the distinction in your mind between Web3 and the metaverse? And have a follow-up after that.
Sure. I actually had this conversation last week. I spoke at the tech conference, the Women in Texas conference, pertaining to building your technical skills in the Web3 space. Yeah. And essentially, so a question like this actually came up, and Web3 and the metaverse, a lot of people ask, hey, well, is it the same thing? It is, but it's much different. So the metaverse is essentially, well, let's get into Web3. So Web3 is essentially built on the blockchain. So the blockchain is a distributed system, peer-to-peer network system in which it's decentralized, it's non-custodial, like no one governs it. There's no way that a person or an entity can shut this system off. And metaverse, there are metaverses that are in existence even prior to the word metaverse, like Roblox, for example, or Fortnite. The kids love Fortnite. Those systems were already set in place, but the metaverse now is so important and such a huge buzzword because Web3 is now a big thing in this space. So now people are, there's projects out there that are being built where it's decentralized. You can actually log on to not even log on, all you need is a wallet, and you can essentially connect your wallet to a metaverse space and join it and use an avatar, and there's no one controlling this system. It's already built out, it's open source, and you can interact with people, you can advertise and market your products and services with certain certain projects, like Blocktopia is one of the projects that's doing that. You can have your own storefront. So essentially it's something that's still new per se, like it's still being built out as we speak. We're still in beta testing for metaverse, but Web3 and metaverse are two distinct things, that two distinct concepts that are integrated with one another in one way, shape, or form.
Beautiful. And just for those who are very green, which is fine, right? Like that is what this is for. I want to at least try to break down some jargon too. When Monet says blockchain, and you're like, what the hell is that? Right? Think about it as, these systems that kind of prove this ownership concept, right? Like when Monet said, like the difference between Web 2 and Web 3 is ownership, right? It is much like these Black TikTok creators who were protesting because they created the dance, right? But they didn't get no brand deals. It was the white girl that copied them and got $1 million, right? In 1 year from brand deals, but there was no linkage back to the owner. Well, when you create something that bad in Web3 and in the metaverse, right? And the blockchain has a record of when it was created, and it has like a unique identifier, right? Like you legit own it, baby. So if Steph Curry keeps dropping these shoes that can go on people's avatars, in the metaverse, right? And he said it's only 100 of them. It's only 100. Ain't no knockoffs, right? Like big founder energy, right? Like big ownership energy. So don't be afraid of that word. It is a beautiful thing, right? And decentralization, we're gonna get into this a lot today, right? The beauty of decentralized is if somebody changed the algorithm out there, if you decentralize, it don't impact this over here, right? If the government shuts off something over here, stimulus package, it doesn't impact this over here. Thank you so much, Monet. And as a quick follow-up, you know, you kind of touched on this. How does digital currency, which is a third buzzword, right? We've been talking about Web3, we've introduced metaverse. How does digital currency show up in these realms, right? And is it easy to access?
Okay, so before I get into that question, I just wanted to go back to the whole blockchain aspect of things. So blockchain is a public ledger. So all transactions that have ever existed, you could see all of those transactions. They're immutable, which means that no one can change those transactions whatsoever. So for example, with a bank, like I bank with Capital One, I can't see all of the transactions from each and every person that banks with Capital One, but on a blockchain such as Bitcoin or Ethereum or even XRP, you could see those transactions and trace the money back to the origin or the creation. So that's why blockchain is so important in this space, in this world right now, because we're able to essentially see what's going on. There's full transparency and no one is governing this system per se. Well, that's something that we can get into another time, decentralization versus centralization, DeFi versus CeFi. But back to what you were saying pertaining to, hold on. What did you ask again? Just
the digital currency. How does digital currency show up in the metaverse?
Absolutely.
How easy is it to access or uneasy?
It's actually very easy to access the cryptocurrency, like any cryptocurrency that is, you know, like out there per se. If you have a bank account and you download Coinbase or KuCoin or Binance, depending on where you live, state or country or what have you, if you have access to those websites or those apps, you can download those apps and purchase cryptocurrency. Now, the reason why crypto is so important in the metaverse, it's because these companies or these projects are integrating these cryptocurrencies for in-game purchases. So you can actually purchase skins, avatars, or even earn, like they have play to earn games where you can earn money for playing a certain game. So for example, there's a project called Axie Infinity that they actually reached, I remember when they were like a couple of pennies, like a year ago, like over a year ago, and they shot up to like $100. People made hella bread off of it. And what that project does is you can basically purchase like these little characters, these little like cute little fat characters. They look like big Pokemon and stuff. And you can breed them and fight them and do all types of stuff. And people were like in Asia, especially, were making tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like this is like, these are people's full-time jobs and stuff in different countries. But here's a really cool thing. So Axie Infinity has its own token. There's other projects out there that utilize Ethereum or Bitcoin as an earning, you know, for earning that particular crypto. For example, Blankos, I've actually played Blankos before. It's a really fun game to play. You play like little games and like solve puzzles. They give you Ethereum or they give you free avatars and what have you. And also NFTs that come, you can purchase your NFT and utilize those NFTs within that space as well.
Ashe. So good. And y'all definitely help everyone at the conference out by dropping these buzzwords in the chat as we go to help everybody with their notes, right? Because we're dropping out a lot of jargon, right? You can Google any of this stuff, but write down Coinbase, right? Write down Ethereum, etc. Write down blockchain, help your sisters out so that we keep pace. Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much, Monet. Thank you for bridging all three terms, right, together. And I want to swerve a little bit, right? Because I already hear y'all out there. I don't play no damn games, so how's it applicable to me, right? But the metaverse is so big, man. The Web3 is so ubiquitous. You know, there are so many ways you can interact with it, and Bianca is a prime example of that, of using it for business and things like community, et cetera. In fact, Bianca's company is paving the way, right, for getting businesses into the metaverse with ease, by helping them host events, right, and meet each other inside of the metaverse. Bianca, can you explain, what your company is doing, right, and how it's benefiting the companies that you're introducing to the metaverse?
Sure. Like, I'm so excited about this, right? And so we're helping small businesses get in through training of like just even understanding what is metaverse, what are the elements of the metaverse, some things that you've already heard of, right? So that's just one layer of it. We're talking about events, we're talking about digital currency, but in a way that really applies and just easy to understand to the average everyday person, right? So beyond the trainings, we actually have boot camps where we help people actually build metaverse spaces, their own, where they can have events, right? Super dope. And so what I think is really interesting is that, as you saw during COVID, we had to use technology to connect with people, right? And so how do you go further than just the boring Zoom, the boring Zoom event, right? And so we were showing people how to create virtual reality experiences in the metaverse. And we are using, primarily a platform called Spatial. We love the good people over at Spatial because it's one of the easiest platforms to onboard people, especially if they've never been in a metaverse environment. And so normally when we describe to people what the metaverse is, we'll say, is a combination of a couple of things, right? It could be virtual reality where you go into a virtual world. It could be some mix of, virtual and augmented reality in some way. So you're putting something that doesn't exist in real life. So think like Pokemon Go, the filters on your phone that you use for social media. Second Life was one that existed a long time ago. So people have already been familiar and already been using these technology, and they use them every day and they just don't realize it, which I think is really crazy. Even when you're on Zoom and you use the filters there, that's AR technology, right? So we like to try to make people feel like, oh, okay, I've been here already. I just didn't know what it was called. Right. And so through the trainings and through the boot camps, we help small businesses that way. And then we also build for them, right? And so helping them really think about what event strategy that they want to take. And so I think it's really important what virtual reality, AKA metaverse events, allow small businesses to do is, one, they can have people express themselves in the way that you can't really do on Zoom. So you come in like Monet said, your avatar, right? So you can come in with angel wings and come in as a dragon if you want to. But it also allows people to connect. And so imagine having these conversations with people where it feels like you're physically in the same room with each other, but you're not. You're being safe, right? And you can talk to anybody around the world and create really amazing activations, some type of product demo, networking events, community forums. And so at Brick Rose Exchange, we've been doing it as far as like metaverse events since about December. But my background extends almost about 5 years ago, where we built these experiences from scratch when I was a project manager at USA Today, right? So I gotta make sure I throw this out there, Casey. We built a product that actually won a Pulitzer Prize, and we did it from scratch. So I take so we take all of this information and all the lessons that we've learned of how to make sure that people have really awesome experiences when they get there, and teach small businesses kind of like this cheat code that we've developed over the last 6 months, right? And so I think that for anyone who holds any type of event on Zoom, that you really should be looking at how you could leverage metaverse technology, virtual reality, augmented reality, to bring that into your business, to give your audiences, your raving fans, your clients, your consumers a different type of experience, in a different way of connecting with you. So that's what we've been doing. And I'm excited because we got more stuff up our sleeve for the rest of the year. But I just want every woman, every person listening to this, is that even if something sounds so far out there, like Casey said, and like Monique said, write it down, go Google it, because I don't want people to not do something because it sounds so far out there. It's just, my goal is, anytime that I speak on any type of platform, is just give people this one tip. And the one tip is, if you don't know where to get started in the metaverse, you don't know where to get started with Web3, put in metaverse, put in Web3 plus whatever it is that you do, right? Teaching, metaverse plus teaching, metaverse and sewing, metaverse and DJing, like Web3 and DJing, like just to kind of give you some ideas of where you could be starting and just know that somebody's already started doing something. So we chose events because our physical space here in Baltimore, as you can imagine, with anyone who had a physical venue, took a hit during COVID. And so by adding events in the metaverse, especially for the end of last year and the beginning of this year, our metaverse events have actually outpaced revenue for our physical space, which is crazy when you think about it's not even real, right? And so I just want to encourage people, don't be afraid, just go out there and learn as much as you can. And then if you don't want to learn by yourself, find a guide, find someone to follow, find a program to join. So Monet's program, my program, our websites, like, just don't just sit and watch, like go out there and do.
Yeah, actually, I love that. And then to hear, right, like your metaverse type services and specialties, right, are now outpacing the physical real world things, right? I want every single entrepreneur listening to us to think about this, right? A whole bunch of folk are sitting there complaining about engagement being down on Instagram, and they mad. They're talking about the algorithm and how can I trick the algorithms, right? You need to be asking yourself, where are they going, right? You got to be thinking like that, Black woman. Where are they going, right? If they're not on here, if Facebook is saying that usage is down and the time people spend, where are they going? Because you are early enough right now, today. I'm talking about today, right? On the 16th of June, you are so early that you cannot just build a table. I'm talking about you could build stages, right? You can build the stage that companies are paying to have billboards on your wall in the podcast lounge you build, clickable links on your wall, right? If they not coming to Facebook no more, if people ain't going to Facebook no more, I promise you brands are trying to figure out where they're going. If you build stages, baby, right? Gucci just recently had an event and they decided to do in the metaverse and they sold products. And guess what? When somebody bought the product, it came to their house 3 days later. Why can't you do your candles that way? Huh? The NBA, they're showing their Monday night games in the metaverse. All the Monday night games. Not all of them yet, but Monday night. If you doing content and creating YouTube videos, why can't you do the same? And then you build enough following in there that somebody's paying you to talk about their stuff in the metaverse and you making that bread, right? Like that is the power, right, of this. So take the limits off, y'all. Like take the limits off and just try stuff. You are early enough that you will literally write the rules, and Black women's names going down in history is such an accessible feat today. And that's what we're here to make sure y'all do. All right. So moving it forward, right? We talked about spectrums, right? There's centralization and decentralization. There's also immersion, right? A spectrum of immersion, right? Where some people think they got to buy the goggles like this right here. I love my goggles. That they got to buy, the goggles to be up in there, but it's not true, right? And I know you ladies know that. Similar to the centralization, decentralization. Some people think they got to build it from scratch. It's completely decentralized. So I got to find some smart tech people to build it from scratch. But there are centralized platforms like Facebook where you can legit go up in this thing called Horizons World, right? And you just up in there. You can build your own in 60 seconds, right? So I want to unpack that a little bit. Can you both give us some context on these spectrums? Either or, if you want to talk about one or the other, levels of immersion, how people can be kind of web-based and still be in metaverse, right? Versus being, fully immersed, or, right, how they can be centralized if they want to have a no-code, low-code solution, or completely decentralized. How about we start with you, Monet?
Sure. So there are many different ways, it's crazy because you basically just said it. There's not you eloquently said it best, but I guess I will add a little bit more color to it. So for example, my company's actually partnered with Meta. So they have their platform for their employees, which is a centralized platform. They're also building out their metaverse. And with that said, that is a centralized platform right there, because Mark Zuckerberg heads Meta, right? Microsoft, same thing. They already have employees going into the metaverse and doing activities and having team meetings within that space. So those are centralized platforms. Roblox, Fortnite, those platforms are also centralized. Decentralized platforms are platforms like, for example, on Magic Eden. I can literally go on Magic Eden, and I would highly recommend that you ladies check out that website when you're done with this conversation. It's on the Solana blockchain. Amazing, amazing project. Check out Solana as well. You can go on Magic Eden. They have open source platform, metaverse platforms where you can actually go on with your wallet, and you don't even need an avatar. They'll give one to you for free. You can go in, interact with people, have dance parties, you can host events, and it's, again, open source. Like, you can take that particular project and utilize it for your own project if you'd like to. Like, it's pretty remarkable the types of things that you can do within this space in terms of, you know, the decentralized platforms and also centralized platforms. People tend to lean towards more centralization or centralized platforms now because it's the safest way to get on and, you know, what have you. And I'm cool with that. You know, if that's what you're into, if you want to get into the Facebook metaverse, by all means, or Meta metaverse, by all means. But there's so many different options out there. And if you're looking to build your own metaverse, again, there are platforms in which you can use to do so. And again, Magic Eden, I keep shouting them out because I just love what Solana is doing, and I feel like it's so underrated right now. I believe that this is just a great platform to start with if you're interested in building out your own thing. Also, I had a conversation with my fiance pertaining to this. We're even going to see instances where metaverses will be able to speak to one another. So if there's a platform, if there's a metaverse built on the Solana blockchain, for example, and let's say it's project A and project B and project C will be able to, you'll be able to like travel between those metaverses. So interoperability will be one of the biggest things in this space moving forward. I actually see it as being like the next step in the web development, so Web 4, for example. So definitely, you know, look into it, check out Magic Eden, and also familiarize yourself with these projects. Like, you know, they're a lot of fun, and I've spent hours in the metaverse before, and it's just, you know, it's awesome to like interact with people and just, you know, just checking out the different technologies that's out there. But I also wanted to touch on something like prior to, like in the previous comment that you made, Bianca. There's a lot of instances where I feel like women in this space, it's not that they don't want to get involved, it's just that they lack the confidence to get involved. And I had a talk about this in a Twitter space yesterday pertaining to exuding confidence in Web3. I believe that we as Black women have to exude as much confidence and like really dig deep into what it is that we're looking for within ourselves and within our lives in order to figure out what Web3 means for us. So I encourage each and every woman during this conversation to really like figure out what it is that you want to do. You're here for a reason. You're listening to us for a reason. So figure out what place do you have in this space, in the metaverse or in Web3. Are you a spectator? Are you an investor? Are you a builder? Or, you know, do you just want to talk shit? I mean, you know, as a spectator, I'm with all of it. You know, I'm with all of that. So I encourage you to do all of that.
Ashay. Thank you so much, Monet.
Welcome.
Bianca, can you provide some context, you know, for these spectrums, decentralization, centralization, immersion, full immersion, low immersion?
Yeah, I'll tackle immersion because that's the fun part for me, right? And so I'll start with this. 5 or 6 years ago, when this technology still wasn't like mainstream, it wasn't mainstream because a lot of people couldn't afford to get on, right? So it was $600 for a headset, $2,000 for a supercomputer, almost $3,000 to play games. And so for most of us, especially Black women, it was just like, we're not doing that. So I like the fact that now what you're starting to see is that there's so many different platforms that you can access from your headset if you need to. You can actually get on with your laptop and you can get on with your phone. And so I like the fact that all these platforms are starting to pay attention to the users, how they're using it, and giving them ways to immerse themselves, or, you know, for higher immersion or low immersion. So it basically is, you know, making the digital divide obsolete at this point. Like you have no excuse for not being on it, right? You can't say, well, I don't got a headset. No one's gonna buy it for me. I'm not buying it. I guess I'm not gonna know what it is. Like literally everyone walks around every day and picks up their phone probably 20 to 30 times a day. So if you can do that and check Twitter and Facebook and all this other stuff, you can get on some of these platforms that give you mobile access. So I just want to, you know, put that out there, that this is within everyone's reach, literally and figuratively now. And so I just want to make sure that we all take advantage that we can, because we didn't have this opportunity 5 or 6 years ago. So being able to see the technology change and advance and include us, right? Include us in a way that you even on some platforms can just upload your picture and the picture takes your skin color and makes your avatar. Like, it's just mind-boggling. Yeah, it's mind-boggling, the advancements, but I just want to say that someone was listening. Someone's been listening. So not only are they, you know, trying to make sure more people are able to get in, that they give you different levels of immersion, but they actually care. They care to represent us. And so, like, let's not miss that opportunity.
Man, come on. Y'all stirring up some of my spirit right now. Listen, y'all. I need y'all to move with big founder energy. Big founder energy. What we are telling you is, instead of waiting for somebody to change the rules to include us, you create it, sis. If people don't have enough money, right, to travel to where the experts are in Silicon Valley, you create an environment where people can pull up and talk to people in China, and they eventually become partners because you created a space of inclusion. You spark conversations, right? If people can't afford the $299 headset, you create some type of some low-cost way for them to come together and you create it, right? Because, and I'm talking about my spirit is that I spent 10 years trying to change folks' mind who were gatekeepers for finance and gatekeepers for opportunities and gatekeepers for conversations that Black people needed to hear. I spent 10 years trying to change their mind. Being 10 times is good now, right? Because I thought that they held the keys to what we needed. But I called myself a tech founder. I left myself. I built my own app. I built my own knowledge academy. I'm building my own spaces in the metaverse called healing gardens and retreat cabins. And I'm telling women to pull up, and 10 people gonna have headsets who would have been afraid of doing so 2 weeks from now. And then 1 year from now, they're gonna be winning prizes. And 10 years from now, the world will know Black people's names because we did something about it today, right? So you be user-centric. You build things that we need today, because I promise you already cold enough. I promise, like, Google these things we're talking about. And last thing I'm gonna say before I get off this soapbox is when we're saying, when Monet is saying figure it out, you know what I'm saying? When Bianca is saying do something, we're not telling you to do it on an island. Show up in these Twitter space conversations, right? Join rooms and spectate. We mean that seriously. Listen, so that somebody can introduce a thought in your mind that plants a seed that changes your life forever, right? Like, we got to do more of this right here. You know, we don't need to know all the things. We don't need to fake it until we make it. Be it until you see it. If you're confused, say, I'm confused, sis, break it down for me now, right? Because I promise you, we are able to write the rules today. Start waiting for permission. All right, we off that.
Wait. I just want to add something because now you got me all fired up, right?
Seriously.
So, you know, like in the event business, for anyone who has an event venue, right? Normally the law is kind of like after Thanksgiving all the way through like February, right? Because it's cold, people spend money on Christmas, they don't want to do a lot of things. And so even the thought, I was just playing around with like a new platform in the metaverse. Like I didn't make the official decision that that was the path. And then when I did and things started to work, don't you know that we were able to cover money from that law that normally would happen, that would normally happen year over year in the event business, but we made more money. Like we made money we didn't even like plan for, right? And so I think that a lot of times we just sit and just accept things for how they are, but sometimes even a quick experiment, you're like, oh, this is working, let me keep doing this, right? And you just never know what you wind up creating. So I wanted to make sure I put that out there.
I'm gonna add some stuff too, honestly, because you ladies are on fire, like for real. So coming from a tremendous and long tech background, I wanted to be an engineer at one point. I was denied access because I am a Black woman and I am also very, very boisterous. I've been called masculine. I've cursed people out in boardrooms. I never gave a shit. I never gave a shit. And honestly, leaving corporate America was the best thing that has ever happened to me, and creating Duchess Consulting, the Crypto Duchess, has been the best thing that has ever happened to me in my life. Web3 truly changed the way that I see the world today. And I want to encourage each and every one of you ladies out there. I don't know how many women are out here right now listening, but yo, start that shit, talk your shit, start your shit, whatever that means for you. If you want to learn skills, there's free resources out there for you to learn how to become a programmer, a developer, a community manager. You know, step outside of the box and figure out a way to make this work for you, whatever that means for you. But there's bounty programs out there where you can access, you know, you can go in, and if you already have a developer background, you can basically earn, you know, a little money on the side doing a quick project for like a week or a month or several months. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, there's different, like if you have a product or service, you can tap in with Bianca, figure out a way to get into the metaverse and advertise or do something within this space where you can make money within this space. There is so much opportunity out there. There's grant programs. Gitcoin has an amazing crowdfunding program right now, and a huge developer network that you can access. Near Foundation. I mean, I hope you ladies are writing this shit down because I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, seriously though, but no, seriously though. Near Foundation, they're giving out tens of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars for you to create your own project on the Near network. You know what I'm saying? Make this shit happen. It's accessible. It's out there. If you don't get in, someone else will. You know what I'm saying? But I want to see more brown women doing this shit. Yeah. You know, there's not enough of us out here. Like, I'm still going into spaces and I'm like the only Black woman. I had to like curse somebody out the other day on Twitter because they were cutting me off. I'm like, no. What you're not going to do is cut me off. I'm not that bitch. Okay? Like, seriously. Now you said we could curse, right?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Let's go.
Yeah, I love it. And I hope you ladies feel the passion behind what we're saying, you know, because we don't want to be the only ones. We don't, y'all, if we're going to create safe spaces for folks, right? We can't be the only ones. We need a whole bunch of founders out there building companies with cultures that already get it from the ground up. You know what I'm saying? So do this. If you need anything, these ladies have a whole bunch of resources. They have agencies that can help you, etc. Right? You know, come to these after hour things we're doing tonight, tomorrow night, etc. Where we're, you know, you're gonna be in the metaverse. You know, like pull up, right? But yeah, it's here. All right, we're gonna come off of this because we got so much ground to cover in a very short amount of time. I want to pivot over to social media, and we, you know, hinted on this a little bit earlier, right? But you know, human nature works in such a way that people get fatigued with certain things, right? There was a point in time where, baby, when the reels came out, we were pointing and making all kind of money pointing, and now, yeah, no, right? So now brands are scrambling to try to find how to market their services to people, right? And one thing that is, you know, starting to emerge, right? A lot of studies are showing this. The Webby Awards published a study that showed this. Thinkific, as well, Hootsuite, who is a big social media marketing software company, they published some data that shows this. Now companies are running to community owners because like people are fatigued with these, you know, strangers pointing, and they want to feel something. They want trust, right? They want decentralization, right? So can you all, thinking about the context of marketing, right? You know, what does or what will marketing look like in the metaverse in the future, when the metaverse is king, right? If Web2 is king today, right? What will marketing look like in Web3 when it is king? Let's start with you, Bianca.
Listen, I'm just lit. Oh man. Let me just say this, because we're already starting to see it through Brookroads Exchange. The future is consumer activations, right? And so what I mean by that is people creating events that touch their clients, their consumers, their audience, their super fans in a way that's so personal that, you know, an ad can't get you. And so for example, we ran something called Black Love in the Metaverse on February 16th, right?
Hello.
And so, hello, right? And so we mixed our community of art lovers with people who like having really thoughtful conversations around Black love and trauma, and like, how do we heal that amongst Black people? And then we had an artist come in and sing. So we was like, we had these three different elements. Everybody's either in their headset, on their phone, on their computer, but it was a whole vibe, right? And so from that one event, we booked more business. But it helped our community, like I said, of art lovers, but also people who love to talk. And so when you're starting to think about how to do something different, how to do something more extravagant, how to go beyond Zoom, this is the start of it. And so even with that particular consumer activation, we got sponsors. So we had spaces, we had spaces within the metaverse where we had their logos and we had them speak. And so like, just imagine what you can do if you're very intentional about what you want to create. We're past the point where people are going to show up for a free Zoom, give your information, wait for you to pitch them. They're like, nah, sis, I'm kind of over it, right? I'm kind of over it unless they're already a part of your tribe and they want to see what you got. But for most new people, like, I'm not doing all that, right? And so, you know, you got to be able to show value in a way that just really hits them in the heart. Like, I just remember the people being at the speaking portion of it, because we had a doctor from the Pride Center, and he was talking about just healing that generational trauma between Black people. And people were like in that thing for 2 hours, the Q&A, the back and forth. And it was fascinating to see, because not only for most people, it was their first time there, but they were getting familiar with the environment. So they like start adding objects to it. They're like, you know, playing, testing things out. And so they were, oh my God, what's the word I'm looking for? Enamored. They were enamored with the experience. And it was like, this is so cool. When's the next one? And I'm like, gotcha. Gotcha. But yeah, that's the future.
So dope. And I love, I don't think in the historical world of capitalism, we care much about trust, right? Trust for what, right? It's efficiency, so, you know, cost. Today, you're right, because people are so fatigued, that's what we do. When they see the ad, they don't trust you. They already turn their head. Now, if it's like too crisp, they don't trust it. They don't want to see it, right? It is these real experiences. Bianca, love it. I agree 100%. What's your take, Monet? What does marketing look like in a world where the metaverse is king?
Absolutely. Well, I'm already there. Like this is Web3, okay? Like we're in Web3 and we're already planning for Web4, okay? Like this is where it's at, ladies, and also gentlemen, if gentlemen are here, are listening. So in terms of advertising and marketing in the metaverse, the way that I envision it and what I'm seeing right now in this space as a researcher and as a brand owner, CEO, there are going to be digital billboards in the metaverse where you can go into Sandbox, write this down as well, ladies and gentlemen. Sandbox, for example, you know, Snoop Dogg has his mansion out there. Mm-hmm. In Sandbox, you can have your little voxel avatar go to his mansion. But imagine before you go into his mansion, you're seeing billboards, digital billboards for the Crypto Duchess, for Brick Rose, for, you know, all of these different products and services that are out there. Mm-hmm. That's what we're going to be seeing in this space. Furthermore, there's I think I mentioned this project already, Blocktopia. So there's companies like Binance, Coinbase, I believe Meta is also, they're buying digital real estate within this particular metaverse, but you'll be able to have storefronts in this in that metaverse, and you can have like your own digital billboards and advertisements, and you can actually do consulting if you're a consultant, or, you know, sell your product and, you know, talk to people about your product and service in the metaverse, and then have them purchase that product and have it shipped right to their door. You can deliver, you know, a speech or, you know, a concert if you're an artist. There's so many different ways to get your stuff out there in this space, and that is one of the ways to do, or one of the many ways to do so. Yeah. And then last but not least, there was one last thing that I had in my head, and I think it's just
take your time, sis.
There's just so many different ways of oh, that's what I was going to say. So picture this. Imagine you're in the metaverse, you're walking around with your little character, your avatar, whatever it could be, your skin or your world of women. You know, I hope you guys are writing all of this stuff down. I'm dropping some like gems and not even like telling you about it, but you know, you're walking around with your cool little avatar, and you see a digital taxi pass by. And you know how like real taxis have little advertisements and what have you. Right. Your advertisement could be there, or someone else's advertisement could be there, and that's how you learn about a particular product or service. Or even like Grand Central Station. Well, I'm from New York originally. I live in Houston right now, but you know, traveling back and forth back in the day in Grand Central Station, Grand Central Terminal, you would see all of these little advertisements. But imagine a metaverse where that's all there is. It's just all advertisements and billboards filled with different things and or your product or service that, or anything, you know, the possibilities are endless in this space. And if you can think of it, it could happen, but you have to be the one to create it.
Ashay. So many gems, so many gems. And, you know, we haven't really, nor will we, right? Because it's just so many topics to cover, and I want to make sure we get to some meat before we close this out very shortly. But, you know, digital real estate, right? Look that up, y'all, right? Because, you know, Monet mentioned Snoop Dogg's house that's in Sandbox, right? Sandbox is this, think of it as a world, right? Like a way to interact in the metaverse. I saw a clip of Snoop Dogg on YouTube recently where his avatar was sitting there talking to his maybe an Asian, and he said, you know, how much is my property worth now? This is real, right? He brought, just like you can buy a parcel of land out here, there are certain worlds where there's a limited amount of land, right? There's a finite amount of land. So you buy your parcel and it's yours. You make the rules. When it's decentralized, you make the rules. Can't nobody trump you. Ain't no algorithms, right? So our boy Snoop, right, bought his plot of land in Sandbox, and he asked his agent, this on YouTube, look it up. He said, how much is this worth now? And the agent said 4.8 million. Snoop said, how much did we buy it for? He said 300,000. So just like Snoop can do out here, if Snoop ever wanted to sell his already built house, right? If he sold it today, he would get $4.8 million in cash because it's finite, just like the bougie neighborhoods on your block, you know, at the corner of your block, right? So think about these things, right? And think about whether you want to buy a plot of land, right? You know, for $10,000 or $20,000. Think about this stuff because it's a whole lot cheaper than parcels of land other places, right? Love that. Just yes, like we've been saying, write down the note. So wanting to get into, man, y'all, my heart is hurting because I only have like 8 minutes, and this conversation is so rich, man. Wanting to get quickly into where we think the future will be, right? So none of us are psychics, right? But clearly we're making a bet on this, right? At least the 3 people in this conversation, and definitely those who I see in the chat, kind of dropping comments and ideas as well. What do y'all think? Like how do you think Web3 impacts our everyday life 5 years from now? So say we're sitting in the middle of 2027, right? If I think about tech today, I don't think there's any company out there that could really have a chance at sustaining without thinking about themselves as a tech firm today. Like if you don't have tech in your business as a top priority, like you are a dinosaur already and you're not gonna survive, right? So thinking about Web3 in that same way, if y'all think about it in that way, you know, how does Web3 maybe show up in our day-to-day lives, you know, in 2027? What do y'all think? Monet.
I mean, hey, I don't know who is out here looking to buy a house, but guess what? By 2027 or 2050 or what have you, maybe sooner, maybe later, you'll be able to purchase a house on the blockchain and your deed will be on the blockchain as an NFT. And being that the blockchain is immutable, no one can take that from you. No one can take that deed from you. It is there, it is logged for life until you sell it. And you could see every person that has owned that home or whatever the case may be. It could be a car, anything, you know, it could be your lease, you know, anything could be on the blockchain. Memberships, your college diploma, you know, if people are in school, there's so many different ways that Web3 and NFTs will become a part of your daily life, and you may not even realize it at some point. There's certain platforms that are out now, apps that are currently running on blockchain, and you don't even know that you're on the blockchain. So, you know, and I like to look at it this way. I'm educating the future leaders of tomorrow and the future visionaries. We nurture over here. You know what I'm saying? So I want you all to open your mind and truly think about the ways that you can make NFTs or Web3 a part of your life. And you might be able to create something new that we haven't thought of or hasn't been thought of yet. So.
Yeah, you can, and y'all will. Like, do it. Yeah. Bianca, what about you? How do you think 5 years from now, you know, we interact with Web3 in our day-to-day lives?
I mean, we already are. So we already are interacting with Web3 and metaverse technologies. I mean, something as simple as Alexa, Siri, or whatever, all of that is part of the metaverse, natural language processor. So as you talk into your watch, as you talk to your computer, as you talk to your phone, we are already there. And so I just want people to know that one of the biggest factors for why certain businesses failed during the pandemic was because they didn't have websites, kind of like as Casey said. And so with learning from the mistakes of the past, we can't ignore this, right? And so whatever you can do to implement this type of technology in your business, you got to do it like yesterday. And so you can't wait. And I think what's really going to be, I think we talked a little bit about the future, right? What do we see? And kind of like with the Snoop example, you'll start seeing more people create experiences for their super fans. And I want to tell that to every business owner that's listening, is that they say it's 20% of your clients that produce 80% of your income in your business. And so really drill down on that, right? Like, how can you super serve those people with Web3 and kind of like metaverse technology so that you have a loyal following, kind of like Snoop, who are people who are crazy about Snoop, buying the avatars, getting the NFTs so that they can go hang out in his virtual mansion. And that's how he was able to increase his value from his original $300,000 investment to now 4.8 million, because people who are super fans found him on these platforms and like, I need to be a part of that. And so that's the gem. That's the key right there. Super serve the people who are already rocking with you, and find more ways to bring them closer into you. So
I love it, ladies. you know, if I had to make a bet with the crystal ball I don't have, you know, I think it is going to be ubiquitous. I think all companies, if they are meaningful in their minds, if they live rent free in their heads, I think they're gonna all have a stronger presence in the metaverse than they do in the physical world. That's my bet. Like, I think, you know, the way we think about banks, you know, I think fintech has already disrupted them, where you have online banks out there that never even have spent money on bricks, you know, and cement in the first place, and parking lots in the first place, so they can give out lower interest rates and all of these things. And Bank of America and Capital One are scrambling trying to figure it out, because they got, you know, a whole bunch of expenses, right? I think in 5 years, most companies, I think companies of today are going to have to disrupt themselves, right? And literally break apart and literally be, you know, less physical and more virtual. I think how delivery has taken off, where we are less likely, at least a certain generation, right? We're less likely to get in the car and go, and we order things. I think our grocery shopping, I think is literally, we'll be able to walk down aisles in the metaverse and see which fruit is firm and which one is looking sour and which one is old, and literally like do our everyday tasks fully immersed. Like, I think that decentralization is here to stay for a while, until we get fatigued with it, right? And then we're gonna want some, you know, that's how we do. But I think by the time my babies can talk, I don't have none yet, right? I think that you know, I think the digital world will be more real than the physical world as it exists today. I think the only companies that are relevant are going to be the ones that make that switch, and the ones where you got to get in the car. That's going to sound crazy to somebody in 5 years. I think, like, I got to get in the car to interact with you. I think that's where it's going. We'll see, right? Super dope. So in the last few minutes, ladies, I'd like for you to send a message, whatever you want to and however you want to deliver it. Can you send a message to any business right now that is thinking about staying on the sidelines, right? That is counting themselves out, thinking that, you know, they can afford to ignore this wave and see what happens. You know, what would you want to say to them? And it could be good or bad, right? But what would you want to leave those people who are still deciding to stay on the sidelines with? Bianca, let's start with you.
I was gonna say, then pack it up, sis. like don't wait on it. I don't think that anybody can afford not to jump in some way. And even if you take small baby steps, like we already saw, 40% of Black businesses closed during the pandemic, and a lot of them was because they had no digital presence whatsoever, like no social media, no website, no nothing. And so they were operating business the old school way of like, oh, people gotta come in here and do business with us, or they gotta call us on the phone. Nah, we not there anymore. And so we have access, the barriers of entry are down. Like, let's just do it. Let's just do it. We cannot afford, we can't afford, because I'll say this, a lot of Black people are depending on Black businesses to be in operation, because guess what? We employ Black people. I'm gonna say it again. Because like so I'm gonna try not to go too far down the path with it, but our unemployment rate has always been higher because we haven't had businesses that can actually sustain employees. So all you Black business owners out there, use technology, use Web3, metaverse technology to grow and scale, so that you can bring on teams to hire more people that look like you, so that we can decrease the unemployment rate. Like, I don't think y'all understand here. Like, I know people get all excited about baby showers on Facebook and all these social media platforms, but I need you to get excited for people who have businesses, and for all you business owners, support other business owners so that we can grow and hire more Black people. So,
Mike, big founder energy right there. Dope. Monet, what words do you want to leave with business owners who are still feeling like they want to stay on the sidelines?
Well, I'm just going to put it to everyone simply: hire me. I do consultations for B2B clients. I've worked with a performance marketing company in terms of educating them about the Web3 space. It's all about digital transformation and figuring out the way to get involved with your business. There is going to be an instance where you will have to pivot towards this technology. It's not like we're on the trajectory here. Nothing is going to, like, this is not going anywhere. Nothing is going to change. This is where we're at. And if you're not involved, you will become like Blockbuster and Netflix. And I know everyone, I mean, you know, I'm an 80s baby, you know, 90s kid. Everyone saw how Blockbuster became obsolete because of Netflix. You don't want your business to get left behind because you didn't want to pivot or, you know, change something or learn about Web3. And it doesn't necessarily, it could be the metaverse, or it doesn't necessarily have to be within the metaverse as well. There's so many different ways to get involved. Even if you were to, let's say, for example, if you have, let me think, like an app, and you wanted to have like an API integration for this app for cryptocurrency, that's a way to get involved. You know, every little thing counts. So, you know, again, look within and figure it out, and also hire me if you need any help.
Ashe. Thank you so much, ladies. This conversation was so powerful. I hope that we have invigorated folks who were already thinking about this. I hope we've reinvigorated folks who have been trying, bumping their toe and been thinking about quitting. And I hope that we have mobilized those who are never even intending to play in this space. Y'all move, because it's a whole bunch of jokers out there who have already started. If you don't know, I'm come from the finance space. The same people who laughed at fintech and crypto, they are now working to accept digital currency in stores. Banks are working to accept digital currency with the machines they give out to stores. PayPal is working. I'm telling y'all, move, man. I promise the price of admission is way lower than it's ever been. Companies are already moving to provide you access. So know that everything you need will meet you along the journey. Everything that you need. You will not fail. You will not show up late. Every single time you don't get it right, you learn something new, and you are so much farther than the person who's been sitting on the couch for 5 years looking out the window, okay? So sending so much love, so much light. Y'all got this. And Bianca and Monet, I think the world of you both. I am so happy you are walking this earth, because the mere fact that you exist today is changing the lives of so many women, Black women out there. So I honor you. Thank you so much. Y'all enjoy the rest of the conference. Bye.